Today's lesson is about identifying proportional and non-proportional relationships in tables, day two. Day two. So this is 2.4. You should have your worksheet out to go along with this. And we're going to work this through together. So please fill in as I go along. Again, you can pause, stop, replay at any time. Which team will win the race? You have decided to run in a long-distance race. There are two teams that you can join. Team A runs at a constant rate of 2.5 miles per hour, a constant rate. Their rate is 2.5 miles per hour. Team B runs 4 miles the first hour and then 2 miles per hour after that, so not a constant rate. The task is create a table for each team showing the distances that would be run for times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 hours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 hours. So I'm going to do that first on each of the tables. So Team A runs at a constant rate. This is Team A here on the left. After 1 hour of running, if they run 2.5 miles per hour, after 1 hour, if I multiply by 2.5, I get that they've gone 2.5 miles, 2 5/10. Running 2 5/10 for the second hour, you're going to get 5 miles is their total distance. 5 and no tenths. You don't need the 0 there, but you could put it. 3 times that 2.5 miles per hour, 3 hours times that will give you 7 5/10. 4 times 2.5 will give you 10 miles and no tenths. 5 times 2.5 miles per hour, that constant rate, would give you 12 1/2, or 12 5/10 miles. 6 times 2.5 miles per hour, 6 times 2.5 would give me 15 no tenths miles. So that one was pretty easy. Each time I'm taking my time times my rate. So time times my rate of 2.5 miles per hour gives me my miles, gives me that distance. Not going to be able to do this for Team B. I'm going to read Team B. Runs 4 miles the first hour. So first hour, 4 miles. Going to put that on the table. And then 2 miles per hour after that. So I'm going 2 more miles for the next hour. So the second hour, add 2 more miles. I've now gone 6. I'm adding on another hour, so I go 2 more miles for that hour at hour 3. Now I've gone 8 total miles. Adding on another hour, I've gone 2 more miles for that hour. Now I've gone 10. At 5, adding on 2 more miles, I'm going to get 12. 6, adding on 2 more miles for that, I'm going to get 14. So we have some questions here, and yours might not all be on the front page. You can turn the page as we go through here. For which team is distance proportional to time? Meaning all the ratios are equivalent. That's what we've answered so far. So 2.5 to 1, 2.5 to 1 is the same ratio as 5 to 2, is the same ratio as 7.5 to 3, is the same ratio as 10 to 4, is the same ratio as 12.5 to 5, is the same ratio as 15 to 6. I know if I started with 2.5 and I multiplied by 2, I would get 5 over 2, 2.5 to 1. So each time I'm multiplying by 2.5 over 1, I'm multiplying by 2.5 each time. Same ratio. These all reduce to, if I divide my numerator here by 3 and my denominator by 3, I'm going to get 2.5 to 1. If I take my denominator here of 4 and divide my denominator by 4 and my numerator by 4, I get 2.5 to 1. So yes, they all do reduce to the same equivalent ratio. For every 1 hour, I'm going 2.5 miles. So team A, which team? Team A is distance is proportional to time. Team A is the distance proportional to time because every measure of time, or every minute of time, I'm sorry, every hour, not minute, every measure, I was thinking measure, minute, every hour of time, each hour of time can be multiplied by 2.5 the rate, by 2.5 miles per hour to get the distance. So when I multiply by that constant rate, I have a constant equivalent ratio. These ratios are equivalent. So team A, because every hour of time can be multiplied by 2.5 miles per hour to get the distance. Explain how you know distance for the other team is not proportional. In team B, the ratios are not equivalent. The ratios are not equivalent. How do I know that? I know that, and I'm going to show you. The ratios are not equivalent because 4 miles in 1 hour is not the same, not equal to 6 miles in 2 hours, is not equal to 8 miles in 3 hours, is not, yes, the not equal sign, put the equal sign with a slash, 10 miles in 4 hours is not equal to 12 miles in 5 hours, is not equal to 14 miles in 6. Not equivalent. Not equivalent ratios. Now question C is on the next page, I believe, of your note. So turn to question C. But mine's on this page. If the race were 2.5 miles long, which team would win? 2.5 miles? Well, that's not on my table. Well, let's see. 2.5. If I had 2.5 miles times 2.5 miles per hour, I would get on this side 6 25/100ths, or 6 1/4 miles. If I had 2.5 miles, it would be halfway between this 2 and this 3 would be 2.5, which would be halfway between this distance. Can't multiply. There's not a constant that I'm multiplying by. Would be halfway between 6 and 8, which would be 7. Team B's winning. At the 2.5 mile, which team would win? Team B would win. Why? Because they're 7 miles. They've gone further. Why have they gone further? Because that first mile, they ran 4 miles in an hour. That first hour, they ran 4 miles in that hour. That's why they had kind of a head start. If the race were 3.5 miles long, which team would win? Okay, I'm going to go back up to my chart here. So 3.5, I could do the math down there or in the blank on my paper, times 2.5 miles per hour. 3.5 times 2.5 would give me 8 75/100ths miles. Well, 3.5, do that same thing here. 3.5 would be halfway between 8 and 10, which would be 9. They're still further ahead. They're at 9 miles. Team B would win because they are at 9 miles. Would win They are at 9 miles. Using a little shortcut here. If the race were 4.5 miles, which team would win? Oh my goodness, let's see. 4.5 miles. So 4.5 miles, 4.5 hours times 2 and 5/10 miles per hour gives me 11 and 25/100 or 11 1/4 miles. 4.5 hours. Going to be halfway between 10 and 12, which is 11. Oh, it looks like Team A wins. Now Team A wins. If it's 4.5 miles, Team A would win. Why? Because they're ahead. They are 25/100 of a mile ahead of Team B, right? Okay. Now I'm going to go to the next page of my notes, but we're probably going to have to go back and look at those tables. We're going to have to flip back. For what length race would it be better to be on Team B than on Team A? Explain. Well, it takes, on Team A, 4 hours to go 10 miles. On Team B, it takes 4 hours to go 10 miles. Hey, those are the same. I didn't even notice that. So if the race is 10 miles or less, it would be better to be on Team B. If it was not 10 miles or less, if it was less, just less than 10 miles, it would be better to be on Team B. If the race was less, because those are exactly the same, 4 hours, 10 miles. If the race was less than 10 miles, less than 10 miles, not equal to 10 miles, it would be better to be on Team B. It would be better to be on Team B. Because every time they win, they go more distance in less time. In 3 hours, if it's an 8-mile race, it only takes them 3 hours. If it's an 8-mile race, it's going to take more on Team A because it takes them just to go 7.5, it takes them 3 hours. So if it's an 8-mile race, it's going to take more than 3 hours to be on Team A. So anything less than 10, because they're exactly equal at a 10-mile race. Both teams would finish. There would be a tie between Team A and Team B. Using this relationship, if the members on the team ran for 10 hours, how far would each team member run on each team? Well, they would run the exact same. Oh, if it was 10 hours. 10 hours. Oh, if it was 10 hours. For Team A, 10 hours, well, that's easy to figure out. 10 hours, the time, times the rate of 2 and 5/10 miles per hour would give me 25 miles. If the race was 10 hours, meaning you have to run the whole time, 10 miles for 10 hours. Team B would be, what would Team B be? How would I figure it out for 10 hours? I don't want to make this table. Each hour after the first, they run 2 miles an hour. So for the first hour, they would have 4. To get all the way up to 10, I would have to go 9 more hours times 2 miles every hour. That would give me 18. plus that 4, they would be at 22. So I think we could use that idea that they have 4 hours for the first, 4 miles for the first hour, plus they have to add on 9 more hours times 2 miles per hour. So we got to multiply first, just like I did on the other page. 9 times 2 is 18 plus 4 would give you 22 miles. So if it's a 10-hour race, Team A runs 25 miles, Team B only runs 22 miles. They're faster. Will there always be a winning team, no matter what length of the course? No, we saw. No. At 4 hours, there's a tie. They are equal. Or it's a tie. A equals B. So no. 4 hours. It's the same. G, if the race is 12 miles long, which team should you choose to be on if you wish to win? If you wish to win. So distance, I'm going to have to do this. Distance equals rate of speed times time. So 12 miles is my distance equals my speed. This is Team A. Team A runs at 2.5 miles per hour. That's their speed. What time is it? I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out time. I could have just taken, I should have done it this way. Time is equal to distance divided by speed. So my distance is 12 divided by 2.5. Yes, I was going to divide anyway there. And you would get, you would get 4 8/10. If it's 12 miles, it would take you 4 hours and 8/10. 4 8/10 hours if you were on Team A. Team B, okay, now I got to figure this out. You have to do 4 miles for the first hour plus 2 times 4 would be 8. So that would be 12 total miles. Remember, 4 more hours it would take you at 2 miles per hour. I'm trying to figure out how I would get to 12. I've got to get a total of 12 miles. So to get 12 miles, remember, first hour, so 1 hour is done. They go 4 miles, and then you have to add on 2 miles per hour after that, right? 2 miles per hour for every hour that you go. Well, I would have to go 4 more hours, because that's 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. I was trying to get 12 here. And yes, I did. So this is 4 hours to go this 8 miles plus the 4 miles there gives you the total of 12. 1 hour plus 4 hours. This is 5 hours. This one's 5 hours. So if the race is 12 miles long, which team should you choose to be on if you wish to win? Well, if you want to win, you want to get there first. Who's going to get there first? Team A. These guys are going to win. You want to be on this one. Choose this one. Choose Team A. How much sooner would you finish on that team compared to the other team? Well, Team A takes 4 8/10. Team B takes 5. So if you subtract them, 5 minus 4 8/10, you would finish 2/10 of an hour sooner. Well, if I wanted to know how many minutes that was, I would take 2/10 times 60, which would give me 12 minutes. You would finish 12 minutes faster. 12 minutes faster. Wow, that was a lot of work. We're gonna be looking at relationships and distance and time and rate and answering more questions about proportional, and we also saw a non-proportional, Team B. We'll do that again tomorrow.